Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Regulation of internal environment continued. Plant hormones include the auxin, the gibberellin, the cytokinin, the florigens, and the abscisic acid, which is also known as the growth inhibitor. Auxin is a class of plant growth substance, often called the phytohormones or the plant hormones, which play an essential role in the coordination of many growth and behavioral processes in the plant life cycle. The gibberellin are plant hormones that regulate growth and influence various developmental processes, including the stem elongation, germination, enzyme induction, etc. The cytokinins are a class of plant growth substances or phytohormones that promote cell divisions or cytokinesis in plant roots and shoots. They are involved primarily in cell growth and differentiation, also affect auxiliary bud growth, etc. The florigens, also known as the flowering hormone, is the believed hormone-like molecule responsible for controlling and/or triggering flowering in plants. Florigen is produced in the leaves and acts in the tissue of undifferentiated cells of buds and growing tips. The abscisic acid, also known as the abscissin 2 and domine, is a plant hormone which functions in many plant developmental processes, such as the shedding of various parts of an organism, which include the dropping of a leaf, fruit, flower or seed, etc. Uses of auxin. An auxin spray is used to prevent leaf fall. An auxin causes the root cells to become bigger and elongated. It helps to regulate the plant growth from seed to fruit. It also helps to affect phototropic and geotropic responses of shoots and roots, and it helps to prevent fruit fall. The mammalian skin. The skin is the largest organ of the body and covers the entire surface of the body. It is composed of an outer epidermis, an inner dermis, and a layer of subcutaneous fat below the dermis. An average skin is between 1 and 2 millimeters thick. The skin of the eye is 0.5 millimeters thick. The epidermis is made up of the conified layer, the granular layer, and the malpighian layer, which is also known as the germinative layer. The conified layer consists of flat dead cells full of granules composed of the protein keratin. It forms a tough, almost waterproof layer that prevents microbial entrance as well as reduces loss of water from the body. They are constantly wearing away and are replaced from the granular layer beneath. The granular layer. The granular layer consists of living cells produced by the malpighian or the germinative layer beneath. These cells are continuously converted to conified cells. Keratin is deposited inside them and they lose their nuclei and become flattened in shape. The malpighian or the germinative layer is a layer that is constantly dividing to produce new epidermis. Sweat gland, sebaceous glands, and hair follicles are produced from infoldings of the epidermis which reach deep into the dermis. The germinative layer contains the dark pigment melanin, which absorbs ultraviolet radiation, and keratin, a protein which is responsible for the toughness and flexibility of the skin. The dermis is comprised of the hair follicles, the sebaceous glands, the capillaries in the dermis, sense organs, and the subcutaneous fat. Hair follicles. Here, each hair is a cylinder composed of dead cells, which grows as new cells at the roots. Contraction of the hair erector muscles causes the hairs to rise and also squeeze sebum from the sebaceous glands in addition to enhancing heat insulation. The sebaceous glands. The sebaceous gland secretes sebum which repels water and also prevents microbes from multiplying. The sweat glands absorb fluid from the surrounding tissues and capillaries. This fluid is then passed out as sweat through the sweat duct. Sweat is 99% water, 0.3% salt, especially sodium chloride, and minute amounts of urea and lactic acid. The capillaries in the dermis supply food and oxygen and remove waste substances. The arterioles leading to these capillaries play a major role in temperature regulation. Sense organs. Various nerve endings capable of responding to touch, heat, cold and pressure are contained in the dermis of non-hairy skin. These receptors provide information about the nature of our surroundings. They are also protective since they can provide painful sensation if strongly stimulated. The subcutaneous fat. The subcutaneous fat is found beneath the dermis, and it acts as a food reserve and an insulating layer to prevent loss of heat. Functions of the skin. The skin helps to protect the body against dehydration, invading microbes, mechanical damage, and damage due to ultraviolet rays and poisonous chemicals. It also contains receptors sensitive to heat, cold, touch, and pressure. It plays a major role in temperature control, that is, in the vasodilation and the vasoconstriction. It also helps in the production of vitamin D in the fatty cells by using infrared rays of the sun. And also, it has a minor role as an excretory organ by which urea and lactic acid are lost. Diseases of the skin. Diseases of the skin may be caused by virus, bacteria, protozoa or fungi. This includes chickenpox, eczema, skin rashes, boil, etc. In order to take care of the skin, we should have a bath twice daily. We should eat balanced diet. The use of antiperspirants and deodorants may control excessive sweating and unpleasant odor and therefore should be employed. We should also take abundant fresh air and exercise. In the control of body temperature, overheating may be caused by hot weather, vigorous exercise, high fever, or exposure to solar radiation. Increase in body temperature stimulates temperature receptors in the hypothalamus in the brain, which sends nervous impulses to the skin. These impulses cause changes such as the vasodilation and sweating. In vasodilation, the arterioles in the skin swell, thereby increasing the flow of blood through the skin. This leads to increased loss of heat through the dermis by convection and radiation. Sweat glands are stimulated by nervous impulses to secrete additional sweat, thereby causing sweating. Body temperature can be controlled in overheating and also during overcooling. Overheating may be caused by hot weather, vigorous exercise, high fever, or exposure to solar radiation. Increase in body temperature stimulates temperature receptors in the hypothalamus in the brain, which sends nervous impulses to the skin. These impulses cause changes such as the vasodilation and sweating. In vasodilation, the arterioles in the skin swell, thereby increasing the flow of blood through the skin. This leads to increased loss of heat through the dermis by convection and radiation. While in sweating, sweat glands are stimulated by nervous impulses to secrete additional sweat. Overcooling. Overcooling occurs when a fall in blood temperature is detected by the hypothalamus. The changes that occur are the vasoconstriction, shivering, increased metabolic rate, reduction in sweating, and contraction of hair erector muscles. In vasoconstriction, the arteries are narrowed, thereby reducing the flow of blood to the skin and so minimizing heat loss. Shivering is a spasmodic reflex contraction of the voluntary muscles which increases energy production in the muscles and consequently a rise in body temperature. In increased metabolic rate, the thyroid gland is stimulated by the hypothalamus to produce thyroxine, which increases the metabolic rate, hence more heat is produced. There is also the reduction of sweat as heat will be lost through latent heat vaporization. In the contraction of hair erector muscles, thick layer of warm air in between the skin and the hair is trapped. As hair is a poor conductor of heat, it tends to insulate the body from heat loss.